Hello. You're looking at my dairy. Well, it was my dairy many years ago, but it doesn't exist anymore. That was back when Cerritos was known as Dairy Valley. You might wonder why we called it Dairy Valley back then. Well, just take a look. That's me, shaving a cow. That was a long time ago when I was a young man. As long ago as that seems, there were people living here way before me. The Gabrieleno Native American tribe lived around here for hundreds of years. Spanish explorers came to the area we now know as Cerritos in the early 1700s, and slowly, people began to settle in the region. Another 100 years would go by before an area full of free-flowing artesian wells would become known as the town of Artesia. It was a bountiful agricultural area for grapes, sugar beets, sweet potatoes, other fruits and vegetables, flowers, and both poultry and dairy farms. As the 1900s arrived, the Pacific Electric Railway built a line from Los Angeles southward. They located a train station in Artesia in 1906, and the area began to boom. Dairy farming grew in the area as the demand for dairy products increased. By 1940, the local dairy industry was producing 500,000 gallons of milk each month. The dairy business provided a good living to many of us who made this land our home. As Long Beach grew with its port and aircraft industries, so did the nearby towns. Lakewood, Norwalk, and Buena Park were booming with housing developments. Artesia was beginning to grow too, and the local business people decided they wanted to develop the city, locating housing developments between dairies and eliminating poultry ranches and cattle feedlots. Us dairymen knew this would mean trouble. Not only would the elimination of feedlots create a burden to our operations, there was no doubt new homeowners would not put up with the smells and sights of dairies for long. We dairymen immediately drew up plans to incorporate a separate agricultural community called Dairy Valley. Incorporation was brought before the voters in 1956. A campaign ad declared there were only two choices for this area: do nothing on April 10th, and within a year find yourself a forgotten, heavily taxed minority in someone else's town, or vote yes on April 10th and take intelligent advantage of this first and last chance to have truly economical self-government here. On April 10th, 1956, in a close 441 to 391 vote, the dairy and poultry farmers prevailed. On April 24, 1956, Dairy Valley became an official city. Shaped like a horseshoe encircling Artesia, this new city was home to 3,500 people, 32,000 cows, 83,000 chickens, 9,600 turkeys, and 105 acres of crops like strawberries and sugar beets. The first 5 city council members were all dairy or poultry farmers. These new leaders began considering development requests for new housing and businesses, creating trash regulations, developing a recreation department, and getting the main roads paved. Dairy Valley was notorious for flooding after heavy rains, which you can see here. After a good rain, the streets and fields would flood from here through Artesia. So a drainage ditch was built between 183rd Street and South Street on Gridley Road. This new agricultural city was clearly a success. But as much as Dairy Valley's first leaders wanted to preserve the city's rural roots, time marched on, and so did the cows. With many of the area's original dairymen retiring or relocating to Chino or California's Central Valley, by 1962, Dairy Valley's dairies had been reduced by nearly half. Construction was now underway on 2 freeways, Interstate 605 and State Route 91, that would cut across the city, displacing 32 dairies and the fertilizer cooperative, but making the area more desirable for commuting homeowners. Leaders hoped that new retail centers and a light manufacturing area along the city's major thoroughfares would help bring not only services, but also sales tax and business license revenues to the city. The city's very first shopping center opened soon afterwards at the corner of Pioneer and Del Amo Boulevards, featuring an Alpha Beta grocery store, TG&Y variety store, and several smaller shops. To make Dairy Valley more desirable for future development, the city took out $3 million in municipal bonds to pay for a new water system that included modern 20 and 24-inch lines and later a 7 million gallon reservoir. In 1965, a county reappraisal had doubled Dairy Valley's property taxes, making the city a very expensive place to operate a dairy. The idea of changing Dairy Valley zoning was presented to the city's voters, and the majority supported a change. Dairy Valley zoning was officially redesignated from agricultural to residential. Housing developers wasted no time. Shortly after the election, paperwork was filed at City Hall requesting permission to build 1,000 new homes. The first tract to open, called Stardust Homes, offered beautiful abodes priced from a modest $24,000 to $30,000 to entice sturdy middle-class buyers. New home buyers began arriving in droves, bringing with them great hopes for the future and pride in their new community. Dairy Valley's leaders quickly decided that the community's growing families needed a better place to play than in the streets. A comprehensive long-range plan for parks and recreation was prepared. The document mapped out a solid plan for providing neighborhood parks citywide, with a range of carefully chosen amenities, from baseball fields to playgrounds to shady picnic grounds. In 1965, 3 smaller local school districts were combined into one. The Artesia District, Bloomfield District, and Carmenita District merged to become the ABC Unified School District. In addition, the district drew up plans that called for 28 elementary schools, 6 junior high schools, and 3 high schools to meet the needs of what they expected to be a population explosion. Dairy Valley's leaders decided to face their future with a brand new name. This modern suburban community, of course, could no longer be called Dairy Valley. Neighboring Dairyland remade itself as La Palma, and Dairy City transformed itself into Cypress. Cerritos was suggested as a name that would link the city with the successful junior college that was now becoming well known throughout Southern California. Many felt Cerritos also conjured up romantic images of the old California rancho days. Historical accuracy, however, it didn't have. Rancho Los Cerritos was actually the westernmost part of the old Nietos Rancho, all of which was west of the San Gabriel River with its eastern boundary at Bellflower Boulevard. Alas, none of the old Rancho Los Cerritos even touched Dairy Valley. What's more, it was originally spelled Sierritos, meaning Little Hills, in a survey map in 1834. But what hills they were referring to remains a mystery. Voters didn't seem to care about these technicalities. Cerritos was the resounding winner during a city election on January 10, 1967. When it was finalized in 1971, the comprehensive general plan laid out a vision for a beautiful city with a balanced economy that would provide safe, attractive homes for growing families. Nearly half of the city's land was allocated for residential development. Another 18% was dedicated to commercial, industrial, and professional uses, and the remaining third was designated for schools, parks, flood control facilities, utilities, public streets, and government buildings. More importantly, the general plan called for a progressive city with deep respect for the environment and a lush, park-like setting that would give the community a unique beauty. Just a little over a decade after the city was first incorporated, Cerritos had become a different place entirely. The acres of feedlots, strawberry fields, and chicken farms had begun to make way for suburban neighborhoods. By April 1968, 31 new tracts were either completed or underway, with more than 2,000 new homes dotting the landscape. Huge construction crews were putting the finishing touches on the 605 and 91 freeways. Cerritos was the first city in California to put up freeway barrier walls in order to keep the city quiet and serene while enabling these new transportation routes for commuters. First Lady Patricia Nixon attended the groundbreaking in 1969 of a park located on the farm where she had lived as a child. The family house later became a museum and recreation center. With hopes for a prosperous future, the newly established Cerritos Redevelopment Agency, made up of the city council members, agreed to invest $30 million in the area, with visions for a large retail center and an innovative auto mall. Within a few short years, their plan began to bear fruit, with the opening of Los Cerritos Center, a 100-acre shopping complex built at Gridley Road and South Street. The first phase opened in 1971, and the second phase opened in 1972. After a long debate over whether to rejoin the county library system and share a branch library with Artesia, Cerritos opted instead to build its own facility. A site was chosen at the corner of Bloomfield Avenue and 183rd Street, and a festive groundbreaking ceremony was held in June 1972. Just after the strawberries had been harvested from the field. The first building constructed in the city's Civic Center, the library was officially dedicated on October 13, 1973. City parks were also being developed at this time. While Cerritos Park East was completed in 1971, sod was carefully laid at Brookhaven, Ecology, Friendship, Gridley, Jacob, Loma, Saddleback, Sunshine, and Westgate parks, providing Cerritos families with colorful play equipment, plenty of grass for running and games, and picnic facilities for sunny afternoons. The parks were added in strategic spots to provide green space within walking distance of every Cerritos home, and at least an acre of parkland for every 100 residents. The old fertilizer cooperative at the corner of Del Amo Boulevard and Bloomfield Avenue had become an informal dirt bike course for local daredevils, dubbed Motorcycle Park. And neighbors, well, they weren't too happy about the buzz of bikes or the lingering smell of manure. With help from the county, the property was transformed into the 84-acre Cerritos Regional County Park. The city had bought a 15-acre parcel at Bloomfield Avenue near 183rd Street from DeVos Dairy in 1973. Initial plans for Heritage Park were modest, but by its opening in the spring of 1977, the site had been transformed into a 3-acre Revolutionary War-themed adventure island, complete with a New England-style village and covered bridge surrounded by a lagoon. Meanwhile, local golfers, like myself, rejoiced with the 1977 opening of a new 29-acre 9-hole executive golf course, dubbed Ironwood 9. While new schools and parks helped confirm Cerritos as one of the county's best communities for young families, it was also attracting its fair share of commercial firms. The Cerritos Industrial Park, bounded by Bloomfield Avenue, 166th Street, Carmenita Road, and the city limits, provided a perfect site for forward-thinking companies. It boasted modern buildings and spotless surroundings, not to mention a central location, with easy access to 3 major freeways, rail lines, airports, and the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles. On March 18, 1978, the dedication of the new 52,000-square-foot Cerritos City Hall was held. Located at 183rd Street and Bloomfield Avenue, adjacent to Cerritos Public Library, the 3-story building featured an ultra-modern style. The adjacent council chambers, equipped with state-of-the-art audiovisual equipment and stadium seating, could accommodate 165 people. Cerritos City Hall became the first public building in the country to employ solar energy. The Cerritos Redevelopment Agency remained convinced that shoppers would flock to an auto mall that offered every car and truck imaginable. In 1979, the agency started laying the groundwork for the new auto mall by purchasing land from 8 property owners and making improvements to what would be its main stretch, Studebaker Road between 183rd and South Streets. At the same time, the agency aggressively pursued potential tenants, luring them with the promise of low land costs and a great location. Cerritos Auto Square quickly became a regional destination after its official dedication on August 23, 1980. By the 1980s, Cerritos could certainly be considered a thriving city. With a strong foundation firmly set in place, leaders could now turn their attention to finishing touches that would complete their suburban success story. A new wing was added to Los Cerritos Center, and a restaurant row was created on nearby 183rd Street. Beautification efforts continued citywide as street medians and parkways were planted and kept watered with recycled water. Cleanup crews were quickly dispatched to erase any graffiti that appeared on city walls. City Hall continued to expand its array of services and programs for residents and visitors, making Cerritos a much-desired address. Helping to safeguard the community, the Sheriff's Department developed crime intervention programs and organized neighborhood watch groups citywide. The city funded the construction of Fire Station No. 30, a traditional brick firehouse on Pioneer Boulevard. 1984 was the year the Olympics came to Los Angeles, and Cerritos was chosen to host practice sessions for Olympic swimmers at its new pool. The state-of-the-art facility was situated on 10 acres, adjacent to Cerritos Park East on 166th Street. It featured an enclosed 50-meter pool with dressing rooms, a snack bar, press box area, and seating capacity for 1,400 spectators. Even more novel were the building's rooftop retractable skylights, illumination, cooling louvers, and a solar panel system that helped to heat the pool water and showers year-round. It was about this time a big development came. An expansive 125-acre field, bounded by the Artesia Freeway, Bloomfield Avenue, and 183rd Street, remained as the last large undeveloped area in the community. By the early 80s, everyone seemed to have an opinion for the land's fate. Housing was out, most agreed, because whatever was built would need to generate tax revenue. A new golf course was nixed for the same reason. The most popular idea, backed by extensive market research, was to combine a public facility, such as a community theater or convention center, with a hotel and several office and commercial buildings. The city quickly went to work and invested $8.6 million on an elaborate freeway overpass. Like all of the city's previous developments, the property was extensively landscaped with rambling sidewalks, a naturalistic stream with waterfalls and boulders, rolling lawns and trees, adding to the city's park-like ambiance. By the late 1980s, the Golden Triangle had been transformed into the Cerritos Town Center, and its gold began to gleam. A plan had taken shape that called for hotel, office, commercial, and cultural amenities, with more than 1 million square feet of leasable space in 23 buildings. Leaders projected that over its first 50 years, the $225 million center would generate $585 million in revenue for the city and provide 4,500 jobs. By 1986, the city's land was 95% developed, with an assessed value of $2 billion. More than 2,000 businesses were now located in Cerritos. The city budget had topped $60.9 million, with $11.9 million collected as retail sales tax revenue. Across town, the auto mall continued to grow, with the number of dealer franchises at 22. Just south of the Cerritos Auto Square, Liberty Park was enjoying an expansion of its own. The new and improved park now included Camp Liberty, a much-needed enclosed group picnic area. It provided a perfect spot for day camp activities, large celebrations, and overnight camping trips for the city's youth groups. Local athletes enjoyed a new field and jogging track, 4 more lighted tennis courts, 2 lighted basketball courts, a frisbee golf course, and 4 indoor racquetball courts. On the other side of town, the Cerritos Sports Complex was completed in 1990. Built on 26 acres, chiseled from the Cerritos Regional County Park, the $4.9 million facility was designed to provide ample space for the city's organized sports teams. 3 manicured softball fields, a combination baseball-softball field, a regulation baseball field, 6 fields for soccer or football, a sports office, and concession stand with outdoor seating were installed. The facility also boasted state-of-the-art lighting, an electric scoreboard, a public address system for each field, aluminum stadium seating, and a stage. Since the 1950s and 60s, the city had sponsored fix-up cleanup campaigns to inspire owners to revitalize their properties and clear out debris left over from the city's dairy days. Toward the goal of making Cerritos one of the most beautiful cities in Southern California, in 1992, the citywide Pride program was created to honor residents who maintained a beautiful home and yard. Throughout the 90s, ABC Unified School District was praised consistently for excellence. Test scores were among the highest in the state. During this time, the town center was further developed and a thriving outdoor mall was built. 1993 brought the opening of the state-of-the-art Cerritos Center for the Performing Arts. The building was truly stunning and unique with its movable configurations. None other than old Blue Eyes himself, Frank Sinatra, opened the theater by crooning his classics over 5 nights. That same year, Cerritos on Wheels, also known as the Cow, was launched to provide bus transportation throughout the city. I never thought I'd be riding a cow, but it's what gets me around the city these days. 1994 saw the opening of a $3.5 million, 22,500 square foot clubhouse, built exclusively for the over 50 set. The Cerritos Senior Center was built at Pat Nixon Park and offered a dizzying list of classes and activities, health screenings, a fitness center, tax and legal assistance, health and fitness workshops, excursions, and special events. A new sheriff's station was opened right next to City Hall in 1997. In addition to providing enhanced patrols and safety services to Cerritos 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the state-of-the-art facility offers a full range of services, including an active Volunteers on Patrol program, a citywide neighborhood watch network, the Cerritos Crime Prevention Team, training programs, emergency preparedness workshops, and much more. As the 21st century began, Cerritos developed several first-class senior housing communities. The condominiums at Emerald Villas and Pioneer Villas were designated for long-time residents and their parents, ages 62 and older. The city also built Avalon at Cerritos, an assisted living facility for seniors on the Cerritos College campus. At this same time, Heritage Park was renovated and a concert stage added. Liberty Park was then renovated and rededicated in 2005. The 21st century also brought Cerritos a new library. It had space for 300,000 books, a plush conference center, museum-quality displays, a high-tech training lab, and 200 computer workstations. Pint-sized visitors would be amazed by a 15,000-gallon saltwater aquarium, a model of the space shuttle, a Tyrannosaurus Rex fossil replica, and a rainforest display. Well, what do you think of that? Adults could browse through a collection of more than 180,000 titles, or relax by the fireplace with holographic flames in the Old World Reading Room. Up a futuristic escalator, the library's second floor offers computer stations, a reference desk, study rooms, and rotating exhibits spotlighting the city's cultural diversity. At the top of a glass elevator, a third-floor conference center provides one of the city's largest spaces for banquets, classes, teleconferences, and meetings. The library houses some great pieces of art. In fact, there is great art installed throughout the city, including the Cerritos Sculpture Garden. The public art includes sculptures, drawings, paintings, and water features, with both abstract forms and realistic depictions of people and wildlife. The art installed as part of the Art in Public Places program has become the finishing touch on our beautiful city. Both the Cerritos Sculpture Garden and an expansion of the Cerritos Senior Center are 50th anniversary gifts to the community. Dairy Valley has come a long way. Cerritos is a beautiful and desirable place to live. Through the years, the city leaders have planned the city well. From its nice neighborhoods, parks, and public art, to the many great businesses and stores, the top-notch schools, and vast array of city services, Cerritos is home.